The silent preparation. The morning started like any other on Earth. Coffee brewing in kitchens, children walking to school, and traffic humming through busy streets. But at exactly 0947 Universal Time, everything changed. Every screen on the planet flickered. Every radio crackled and every communication device suddenly displayed the same terrifying message. A massive alien face appeared on billions of screens across Earth. The creature had 4 eyes that glowed like burning coals, skin that looked like polished metal, and a voice that seemed to shake the very air itself. This was Commander Zekthal of the mighty Zephyrian Empire, and his words would echo through history. Primitive humans of the third planet, he began, his voice dripping with contempt. I am Commander Zekthal, speaking for the glorious Zephyrian Empire. Your pathetic world has been found guilty of existing in space that belongs to us. You have exactly 72 Earth hours to surrender completely, or we will turn your planet into cosmic dust. The message continued for 10 more minutes, listing Earth's supposed crimes and describing the terrible fate that awaited humanity if they refused to bow down. The broadcast ended with a chilling laugh that sent shivers down the spines of everyone who heard it. Across the galaxy, other alien civilizations received copies of the message. In the crystal cities of the Andraxians, citizens gathered in public squares to watch and laugh. On the water worlds of the Aquatic Federation, beings with fins and gills chuckled at humanity's misfortune. Even the peaceful botanical collective, usually kind to all life, shook their leafy heads and whispered that Earth had finally pushed too far into space. The general opinion throughout the galaxy was simple. Earth was doomed. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered over 300 worlds in the past century. Their warships were the size of cities. Their weapons could crack moons in half, and their armies had never lost a single battle. Earth, by comparison, seemed like a small child trying to fight a dragon. But deep beneath the mountains of Colorado, in a facility that officially did not exist, a very different reaction was taking place. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the center of a command room filled with the most advanced technology Earth had ever created. Her dark eyes reflected the glow of dozens of screens showing data that would have amazed any alien spy if they had been able to see it. So they finally made their move, Admiral Chen said quietly, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the situation. Around her, dozens of military officers and scientists worked frantically at their stations, but their movements were practiced and precise. This was not panic. This was preparation. General Marcus Rivera stepped up beside the admiral, his weathered face showing no fear, only grim determination. Project Shadowfall has been ready for 18 months, he reported. All our assets are in position. The Zephyrians have no idea what they're walking into. For the past 50 years, while Earth had presented itself to the galaxy as a young and harmless civilization, humanity had been secretly preparing for this exact moment. Deep space monitoring. Stations had been tracking alien movements for decades. Hidden factories on the dark side of the moon had been producing weapons that combined human creativity with alien technology stolen or traded in secret. Most importantly, Earth had developed something no other civilization possessed: the ability to fight a war before the enemy even knew it had begun. Dr. Elena Vasquez, Earth's leading expert on alien technology, looked up from her workstation with excitement in her eyes. Their communication frequencies are exactly what we predicted, she announced. We've been listening to their private channels for the past 6 months. Every ship location, every supply route, every weakness in their fleet. We know it all. The truth was that Earth's seemingly peaceful exploration ships had been doing more than just exploring. They had been mapping, recording, and learning everything possible about potential threats. When the Zephyrian Empire had first appeared in Earth sensors 3 years ago, humanity had immediately begun preparing for war. While the Zephyrians thought they were delivering a surprise ultimatum, Earth had been expecting their arrival almost to the exact day. Hidden sensors throughout the solar system had tracked their approach for weeks. Their message was no surprise. It was simply the starting gun for a race that Earth intended to win. Initiate Phase 1, Admiral Chen commanded. Throughout the secret facility, officers began typing rapidly at their keyboards, Across the solar system, systems that had waited in silence for years suddenly came to life. On the far side of Pluto, a listening post that appeared to be nothing more than a research station suddenly extended massive antenna arrays and began broadcasting false signals into deep space. These signals would make it appear that Earth's defenses were located in completely different positions than they actually were. Near Jupiter, cargo ships that had been carrying supplies to the outer colonies suddenly split open like flowers, revealing sleek warships that had been hidden inside civilian hulls. These ships activated cloaking systems that made them invisible to Zephyrian sensors and began moving toward predetermined positions. Most importantly, on Mars, a mining facility that had been operating for 20 years suddenly revealed its true purpose. The mining tunnels were actually launch tubes for the most advanced missiles Earth had ever created. These weapons combined human engineering with alien technology, creating projectiles that could travel faster than light itself and strike targets before the enemy even knew they were under attack. The Zephyrian fleet, meanwhile, was approaching Earth with confident arrogance. Commander Zekthal stood on the bridge of his flagship, the destroyer of worlds, watching the small blue planet grow larger on his screens. His 4 eyes gleamed with satisfaction as he thought about the easy victory that awaited him. "Begin scanning their pathetic defenses," he ordered his crew. "I want to know exactly how quickly we can end this charade." But the scans revealed something puzzling. Earth's defenses seemed almost non-existent. A few orbital satellites, some basic communication arrays, and what appeared to be primitive space stations. For a civilization that had spread to multiple planets, their military presence seemed remarkably weak. "Sir," reported his weapons officer, "our sensors are detecting unusual energy signatures from several locations in their system, but we cannot determine their source." Commander Zekthal dismissed the report with a wave of his armored hand. "Probably their desperate attempt to power up whatever primitive weapons they possess. Continue our approach. In 60 hours, this system will belong to the Empire." He had no way of knowing that those energy signatures were exactly what Earth wanted him to detect. While his sensors were focused on the false readings, Earth's real weapons remained completely hidden, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Back in the Colorado facility, Admiral Chen watched the enemy fleet's movements with the patience of a chess master. "They're following predicted Route 7, she announced. "All units prepare for Operation First Strike." The next 18 hours passed in carefully orchestrated preparation. To outside observers, Earth appeared to be in chaos. News broadcasts showed panicking crowds, government officials making desperate pleas for calm, and military forces seemingly scrambling to organize a defense. But every bit of this chaos was carefully staged. While the world watched fake panic on their screens, real military units were moving into position with practiced precision. Volunteer pilots climbed into advanced fighters that had been disguised as civilian craft. Special forces teams activated equipment that would make them invisible to alien sensors. Most importantly, Earth's most brilliant minds put the finishing touches on weapon systems that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The Zephyrian fleet continued its approach, now less than 24 hours from Earth. Commander Zekthal was so confident in his victory that he had already begun composing the message he would send to the Empire's capital, describing his latest conquest. But at exactly 14:30, Universal Time, 18 hours before the Zephyrian ultimatum would expire, Earth struck first. The attack began with mathematical precision. Hidden missiles launched from Mars arrived at their targets in the asteroid belt, where Zephyrian supply ships had been waiting to support the main assault. These support vessels, loaded with fuel and ammunition for the coming battle, exploded in brilliant flashes of light that could be seen from Earth. Simultaneously, Earth's cloaked ships revealed themselves behind the main Zephyrian fleet and opened fire with weapons that the aliens had never encountered. Energy beams that could slice through the strongest armor cut into the rear of the formation, while electromagnetic pulses disabled entire ships without warning. The most devastating attack came from weapons platforms that the Zephyrians never saw coming. Earth had spent decades placing small cloaked devices throughout the outer solar system. These devices looked like space debris to any scanner, but they were actually sophisticated weapons that could fire once with tremendous power before self-destructing. In the space of 30 minutes, the mighty Zephyrian fleet lost 40% of its ships. The survivors found themselves scattered, confused, and facing an enemy that seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once. Commander Zekthal stared at his tactical displays in disbelief. "How is this possible?" he roared. "They are supposed to be primitive. They should be begging for mercy." His communications officer, fear clear in her voice, reported the worst news of all. "Sir, we're receiving messages from our forward bases throughout this sector. They're all under attack. The humans have somehow struck at targets over 50 light-years away all at the same moment." The truth was even more shocking than she realized. Earth's attack had not been limited to the solar system. For months, human special forces teams had been infiltrating Zephyrian bases throughout the galaxy, waiting for this exact moment. When Admiral Chen gave the signal, they had struck simultaneously, crippling the Empire's ability to send reinforcements. As explosions lit up the space around Earth and emergency signals flooded Zephyrian communication channels, one thing became crystal clear. The humans had not been caught by surprise. They had been waiting, planning, and preparing for this war long before the first threat was ever made. The hunt was about to begin, and this time, humanity would be the predator. The hunter becomes the hunted, the remnants of the once mighty Zephyrian. Fleets scattered across Earth's solar system like frightened animals. Commander Zekthal, his 4 eyes wide with disbelief, watched his tactical displays show ship after ship going dark. In less than an hour, his unstoppable armada had become a collection of damaged vessels desperately trying to escape. "Retreat," he commanded, his voice cracking with panic. "All ships, jump to hyperspace immediately." But as his surviving vessels attempted to activate their faster-than-light drives, they discovered another horrifying truth. Nothing happened. The drives that should have carried them safely away from Earth remained silent and dead. Deep in Earth's command center, Dr. Elena Vasquez smiled as she watched her invention work perfectly. "Hyperspace inhibitors are functioning at full capacity," she reported to Admiral Chen. "Their jump drives won't work within our solar system. They're trapped." For 3 years, while Earth had been preparing for this war, Dr. Vasquez had been working on humanity's greatest secret weapon. By studying captured alien technology and combining it with human ingenuity, she had created devices that could prevent faster-than-light travel in a localized area. The Zephyrians were now prisoners in Earth's solar system, unable to escape or call for immediate reinforcements. Admiral Chen activated the communication system that would broadcast her message directly to the alien fleet. When she spoke, her voice was calm, professional, and absolutely terrifying in its certainty. "Commander Zekthal," she began, "this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. You came to our system expecting to find a primitive civilization that would beg for mercy. Instead, you have found an enemy that has been preparing for you for years. Your fleet is trapped, your supply lines are cut, and your bases throughout the galaxy are under attack. I am offering you one chance to surrender." The alien commander's response came immediately, filled with rage and disbelief. "Impossible. The Zephyrian Empire has conquered hundreds of worlds. We cannot be defeated by a species that has barely left its own planet." "You're about to learn. Otherwise," Admiral Chen replied, "you have 10 minutes to consider my offer. After that, we begin Phase 2 of our operation." Those 10 minutes passed in tense silence. Throughout the solar system, Earth's forces waited in position like a pack of wolves surrounding their prey. Hidden ships drifted in the asteroid belt, their weapons trained on fleeing Zephyrian vessels. Orbital platforms around Earth hummed with energy, ready to fire at any target that came within range. On the moon, massive railguns that had been disguised as mining equipment were loaded and ready. When the 10 minutes expired and no surrender came, Admiral Chen gave the order that would change galactic history forever. "Begin Operation Wolfpack." What happened next was unlike any space battle the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of massive fleets meeting in open combat, Earth's forces struck like ghosts from the darkness. Small, fast ships emerged from hiding places throughout the solar system. attacking individual Zephyrian vessels before disappearing again into the void. The aliens found themselves fighting an enemy they could barely see. Earth's ships used advanced, stealth technology, appearing only long enough to fire devastating weapons before vanishing again. Some attacks came from directions that seemed impossible. Below the orbital plane, from behind planetary bodies, even from inside asteroid fields where no ship should have been able to hide. General Marcus Rivera coordinated the assault from his command post on Mars. His screens showed the battle unfolding like a deadly dance, with human forces striking precisely where the enemy was weakest. "Target their command ships first," he ordered. "Cut off their communication, then pick off the survivors one by one." The strategy worked perfectly. Within 2 hours, the scattered Zephyrian fleet had lost all coordinated command. Individual ships tried to fight back, but they were outnumbered, outmaneuvered, and completely outmatched by Earth's superior tactics. But the most shocking revelation was yet to come. As human forces pressed their attack, they revealed weapons that should have been impossible for a young civilization to possess. Energy beams that could cut through any armor, missiles that could track their targets across impossible distances, and defensive shields that seemed to absorb and redirect enemy fire. The secret was that Earth had not developed these weapons alone. For decades, human diplomats and traders had been quietly building relationships with other alien civilizations, learning their technologies and adapting them for human use. While the Zephyrians had been conquering through force and fear, humans had been conquering through friendship and trade. News of the battle spread quickly throughout the galaxy, carried by long-range sensors and communication networks that had been monitoring the expected easy victory. But instead of witnessing Earth's destruction, alien civilizations watched in amazement as the mighty Zephyrian Empire was systematically dismantled by a species they had all underestimated. On the crystal, world of Andrax Prime, citizens who had been laughing at Earth's predicament now watched their screens in stunned silence. The Botanical Collective sent urgent messages to their representatives, demanding to know how they had so badly misjudged human capabilities. Even the warlike Krex Federation began emergency meetings to discuss what this development meant for galactic politics. Ambassador Kethvar of the Neutral Mediation Council watched the battle from his observation ship at the edge of the solar system. As a professional diplomat, he had witnessed many conflicts throughout the galaxy, but nothing had prepared him for what he was seeing now. "Remarkable," he whispered to his aide. "The humans have not just defeated the Zephyrians, they have humiliated them. This will send shockwaves throughout every military in the galaxy." Indeed, the implications went far beyond a single battle. The Zephyrian Empire had been considered one of the galaxy's major powers, capable of crushing any resistance. If humans could defeat them so decisively, what did that say about humanity's true strength? The answer came as Earth's forces began, the final phase of their operation. Instead of simply destroying the remaining Zephyrian ships, they began capturing them. Specialized human vessels equipped with powerful tractor beams and boarding equipment moved in to secure valuable prisoners and technology. Commander Zekthal, his flagship surrounded by a dozen human ships, finally understood the full scope of his defeat. These humans had not just prepared for war, they had prepared to win it completely. They had studied his tactics, learned his weaknesses, and planned for every possible contingency. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, her voice barely above a whisper, "human boarding parties are cutting through our hull. They'll reach the bridge in minutes." The proud Zephyrian commander looked around his bridge one last time, seeing the fear in his crew's eyes and the defeat written across every display screen. He had come to Earth expecting to add another easy victory to his record. Instead, he had discovered that humanity was far more dangerous than anyone in the galaxy had realized. When the human soldiers finally reached his bridge, they were led by a young woman with captain's stripes and eyes that showed both determination and compassion. Captain Lisa Rodriguez of the Earth Special Forces had been preparing for this moment for years. "Commander Zekthal," she said formally, "by the authority of the Earth Defense Force, I place you and your crew under arrest for acts of war against humanity. You will be treated according to galactic conventions for prisoners of war." The alien commander, his pride finally broken, asked the question that had been burning in his mind since the battle began. How? How did a primitive species defeat the might of the Zephyrian Empire? Captain Rodriguez smiled grimly. You made the same mistake that bullies always make. You assumed that because we seemed quiet and peaceful we were weak. You never bothered to learn who we really are, or what we're capable of when threatened. As the last Zephyrian ships surrendered or were destroyed, Admiral Chen addressed not just her own forces, but the entire galaxy. Her message was broadcast on every major communication network, ensuring that every civilization would hear humanity's words. To all who can hear this transmission, she began, Earth has successfully defended itself against unprovoked aggression. We did not seek this war, but we were prepared for it. Let this be a lesson to any who would threaten humanity or our allies. We are not the weak, primitive species you believed us to be. She paused, letting her words sink in across countless worlds. However, we are not conquerors. We seek peace, trade and friendship with all civilizations willing to offer the same. The Zephyrian prisoners will be treated fairly and returned to their people in exchange for guarantees that such aggression will never be repeated. The response from across the galaxy was immediate and dramatic. Within hours, ambassadors from dozens of civilizations were requesting emergency meetings with Earth's representatives. Trade offers flooded human communication networks. Most importantly, species that had never before acknowledged Earth's existence suddenly wanted to establish diplomatic relations. Ambassador Kethvar was among the first to request a meeting with Earth's leaders. When he was finally granted an audience with Admiral Chen and her staff, his first words revealed how completely the galactic balance of power had shifted. Admiral, he said with deep respect, the Mediation Council would like to formally invite humanity to join the Galactic Security Coalition. Your demonstration has convinced us that Earth should have a voice in maintaining peace throughout the galaxy. Admiral Chen accepted the invitation graciously, but her response carried a warning that every species in the galaxy would remember. We appreciate the invitation, Ambassador, but let me be clear. Earth will never again be caught unprepared. We have learned that the galaxy can be a dangerous place, and we have adapted accordingly. As the captured Zephyrian ships were escorted to secure facilities, and the last traces of the battle were cleared from Earth's solar system, humanity stood at the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history. They had proven that they were not just another young species to be pushed around or ignored. The quiet planet on the edge of the Orion Arm had become a force to be reckoned with, and the galaxy would never be the same again. In the weeks that followed as news of Earth's victory spread to the farthest corners of known space, one message became clear to every civilization. Humanity had announced its arrival on the galactic stage, and they had done it in a way that no one would ever forget. The age of humanity had begun.